Okay, Team Time Trialers, we have a 2-lap ride of Harrogate reverse. This is very bumpy, all up and down with pretty much no flat. There's one, I think, like 500 meter section of flat on the whole thing. Lots of climbs, but the two to pay attention to are the reverse KQOM and pot bank. And then don't forget that nice 2-kilometer descent on Otley Road into the finish. Start with the DS notes. Alright, so I've got it as lap 1 on the left, lap 2 distances on the right, and I have put in orange the main ascents, the 4 main climbs that you will see. Quick note on what to do if you want to help Sherpa Dave, same as always. Tell your friends, like and subscribe, download those notes, and if you really want to, buy Sherpa Dave a coffee. Jump in straight in to the target times. Alright, here we go. We're looking at Doppio 39 minutes flat, Espresso 44:40 for the ladies and 39:30 for mixed. Then Frappe 47:30 for the ladies, 41:30 for the mixed. Latte 51:30 and 45:30 respectively. Mocha 56:20 and 54. Let's jump straight into the ride. Pretty much immediately out of the pens, it's downhill. What this means is you can't goof around with the start. You have to group up very quickly or you will just split. This descent starts around -1, -2, but as you can see now, it descends quite quickly, getting up to -10 before shallowing out again slightly. Now we have a relatively gentle ascent, which is 700 meters, taking us to 1.2 kilometers on the first lap, 15.1 on the second lap. Let's make sure we're in formation. The route itself has, as I said earlier, almost no flat. You're going to have to work very closely and communicate with each other because recovery will be precious and hard to find. I think the most important thing to do on this ride is to actively recover and actively regroup at every possible opportunity. Even the best of teams will split somewhere along the line here, but the most important thing is to be looking out for that and joining back up as much as you can. Almost certainly towards the end, and I've highlighted a couple of things, almost certainly towards the end you will split up and have to lose some riders, in which case make your decisions really quickly on who you're going to wait for and who you're going to leave behind. So this section is a hill. On a normal TTT we'd probably be spending a little more attention to it, but on this one it's pretty minor. There's the sprint banner and it flattens out at that point. So it's a short, flat regroup if you've split up at all. We've just hit the 3 kilometer for the lap and the descent kicks in now. It does start shallow, but it gets up to a -7 descent, which is handy because you'll pick up a little bit of speed before the KQOM climb, which starts right around this bend and kicks in really quickly, hitting 13-14% quite quickly. And in fact, the worst of this climb is over before you hit the KQOM marker. Not that we care about the marker, except as a kind of positioning. And pretty much as we hit that marker, it flattens out just a little bit. So something of a respite at 2%, 1% for 300 meters before the hill kicks in again. There we go, and it says 7% on the screen now, but it averages 5% from here to the corner, which you can see in the mini-map. This is the first proper climb, I would say, of each lap, and the important thing here is to start the lap as you mean to finish it all together as a group. That means climbers, if you are up front, make sure you're not distancing the rest of the team, and heavier riders, if you've got to put a little extra in now, then you can just recover as we hit the descent in a few seconds. You can see the end of the climb, it's at that corner. Quickly regroup as you go around the bend, because the hill kicks in and it will be the turn of the bigger riders to go ahead and the lighter riders to try and keep up. Everybody keep an eye on everyone else and make sure you aren't putting too much distance between each other. Flattens out here a little bit. And the hill kicks in again. And the descent ends at 6.2 kilometers into this first lap, which is right around now. So this is 1.1 kilometers average in 4%. The first 400 meters is the toughest, and then it eases off again. The road we're on here is Pennypot Lane. And so I think the important thing for the teams to remember is muscle through this first 400 meters, and then where it's green, as you can see in the Veloviewer map there, that's a good time for you all to regroup. So you don't go into the descent that comes afterwards split up. And you can see the peak, it's easing now. And at this point, it's perfectly possible for you to regroup and go on together. Fun fact, you are now a quarter of the way through the ride, or 3/4 of the way through the ride. You can see where the descent starts on this, because the squirrel that's currently in the distance but getting closer every meter marks and the corner that it's by marks the end of the climb. So now we have a gentle descent at first, accelerating up to -7%, and it's 900 meters altogether. After this comes the Pot Bank Wall, which is probably the toughest area of the whole ride. Just past 8 kilometers into the lap. There's this little bump, so we go up just for 100 meters or so, and then down the other side before we hit Pot Bank Wall. You can see from the colors of the Veloviewer map, this gets really steep. I saw 23%, and I've seen pictures of people hitting 40% plus. There's nothing really to say about getting up here. I think if you try and climb this section as a team, most teams will be in trouble. You're better off getting up this first 400 meters as individuals. Just muscle through as best you can, and then when it backs off to below 7.5%, that's a time for you to kind of regroup back together again. I talked about active regrouping earlier on, and I think that's the important thing here. It's not going to be easy when it averages 7.5%, but it's going to be an awful lot easier than when it's 23% for you to take a breath, take a look at where your teammates are, and group back together with them. Alright, so that's the time. Find each other, regroup, and make sure that you get to the top as a nice pack. Here's the top, and now it's flat or descending all the way to 11.2, 25.2 kilometers. Now we're at 10 kilometers of 14. And we're actually on the only decent stretch of flat on the whole ride. 800 meters in the middle here. .11 kilometers of the 14 per lap. We'll pick up a little bit of speed here, and we're heading into the final climb of each lap. So this is only a half a kilometer. It averages 4% from bottom to top, but it does peak around 9% in a couple of places actually. Go up here as a group, as a team if you can, particularly on the second lap. Everyone who's left, just do everything that you can to stay as a tight little group. There's the 9%. Almost gets to 10. And then eases from here on, I think. There we go, downhill all the way, a nice 2 kilometer descent that actually takes you through the start finish gate. It is actually flat for a few hundred meters before the start finish gate, and you'll see towards the bottom there's a sharp left hand turn, and then it's flat from there to the gate. You can see the gate in front of you. On lap 1, you've got a whole other lap to do, but if this is your second lap, you are done. So I will leave you as I always do with the DS notes again and with the target times. If I don't talk to you between now and Thursday, ride on everybody.